Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, December 17th, and this is the regular meeting of the Pikes Peak Commission on Aging. And looking around the room and online, Madam Chair, we do have a quorum, so I will hand it off to you.
Thank you, Jody. Welcome, everyone, and especially our guests in the room and online. And first, we'll start off with introductions. Kathy, we'll start with you across the room. Oh, microphone.
I am Kathy. I'm a member at large. Warren?
Hello, I'm Marilyn Dawson. I'm coming back a second time to enjoy everything that you do.
Kent Matthews, and I believe I'm a member at large as well, right?
Bill Stafford, member at large.
Carolyn Kasdan, El Paso County member. Kim Nguyen, guest.
Paula Levy, Chair.
Jody Barker, Director of the Area Agency on Aging.
Next, we'll go to Bob Foster online.
Bob Foster, council member from Teller County.
Kenny? Kenny Whitney. She's not here in person because she's been sick, so she might just be listening. Wanda, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Wanda Wood, appointee.
I'm not sure who the 720 number is. Like to introduce yourself? Dr. Duncan? Are they all muted, Jared? Okay. Okay.
And then I'll point out, we also do have two staff members, Melissa Martz in the room, as well as Katie Ostini, who's our SHIP coordinator, who is online with us today, sitting in. And then, Madam Chair, I'd like to do just a quick introduction. We're going to work on having her come and present to us in the future, but Meredith Davis with CDPHE, it's the Department of Public Health and Environment here in the state of Colorado. I've been working with her on a presentation to all of our AAAs, and she is the Community Partnership and Engagement Manager in a learning mode right now about all things aging and AAAs and that kind of thing. So we've had a couple different meetings, and we look forward to possibly having her provide a presentation in the near future. So thank you, Meredith, for setting in for us with a little bit.
Welcome, Meredith. Right, moving on. We need a motion to approve today's agenda as presented.
This is Kathy. I moved a little bit.
Bill Stafford, second.
Right. We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
None hearing, none opposed. Motion carries. Move on to consent items. And we need approval of the minutes from our November 19th meeting, which were included in your packet. Are there any questions or discussions on those minutes? Hearing none. We need a motion to move forward to approve those minutes.
Bill Stafford, I move to approve.
And is there a second?
It's Kathy, I'll second.
Thank you, Kathy. All in favor of approval the minutes from last month's meeting, please say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next, we are at public comments and presentation.
Madam Chair, we've not received any requests for public comments ahead of the meeting, but we will pause for a moment if anyone online has public comment to share. Ask anyone online who would like to do that, use the raise hand function to let us know that they'd like to provide public comments. Seeing none, Madam Chair, we can move forward to the next item, which is 5 action items and presentations, which we do not have any.
I think it's moving right along. All right, number 7. First item is a membership committee.
And I can jump in. This is Melissa. And again, we have 2 folks here in the room with us today. I think most of us have met both of them at one point in time or another. Marilyn with Hey Neighbor has turned in her application to the Commission on Aging. So we will be reviewing that at our next executive committee meeting and bringing her forward for membership. And she, of course, did a presentation a couple of commission meetings ago. And then we also have Kim here again today, and Kim had done a little presentation as well last month. And some folks have met her too. So we welcome those 2 new folks, and hopefully we'll have official voting happening in the new year. Any comments or questions or?
Do you like to say anything? Sure. Either of you?
And if you do, just reach forward and touch your button on your microphone. And
Well, thank you everyone in this group, and I'm looking forward to your consideration. So I, the part of that meeting, and I'd like along the side of this discussion.
And I'm new to Colorado Springs, have only lived here about 14 or so months now. I've worked for USAA. I started a platform called Silver Scaffold Storytellers and Advocates. And my real area of interest is digital inclusion for adults. But also want to help fight ageism and happy to be involved in absolutely.
Be happy to have. For sure. Okay. Next is item B, the jurisdiction report updates. Going to be to the city of Colorado Springs.
And this is an opportunity for us to just kind of talk about the fact that we want to bring someone forward to replace Aaron Marizella with the city of Colorado Springs. And I know that a couple of commissioners have brought up Bill's name as the possible kind of appointee and replacement for that. And just wanted to have an opportunity for commissioners to discuss that, talk about it, for Bill to comment if that's what he's interested in doing. As a reminder, this is an opportunity ideally for our appointees to go back to their jurisdiction twice a year and give an update of what the Commission on Aging is doing and get feedback from them. So hopefully in 2026, we'll be able to make that happen. And so again, this is an opportunity to talk about that a little bit more, commissioners who are here.
It's really the first time we've had a formal discussion and formal process to have jurisdictions have. So. Blazing the way, Philip. Pioneer. Have any thoughts?
I would say it would be worth a meeting probably with Melissa and or Jody and you, Paula, we can figure that out. But I would be open to that discussion.
I think that's a great answer. Let's start that conversation. I think, we're saying, Paula might get a good sense of what the hope is to make sure that so, yeah, we'll get something set up and have a conversation so you know what you're in.
You can share that with the rest of the group because we will, or ideally, we'd like jurisdiction representation. Out. Okay.
And for the high levels, that because this conversation could come to any one of you depending on where you reside. The goal is as an appointee is to also have that communication from your work as a Commission on Aging member back to your appointing jurisdiction, or to report on the work that's being done at the commission level to provide yourself as a resource for questions and answers. Do know that we don't send you out there alone. Not too long ago, when Aaron presented to City Council, the College Springs City Council, Melissa and I were there to back up for her, not just moral support, but also I help answer questions as they are. So this is something that we feel is to show the appointing body the work that is being done by the individual whom they appointed to this board. So that's the gist. But we can get into further details and kind of the vision that we think. But all of you may eventually be sought out to represent, especially if you are in an appointed position.
So my thought is we have a lot of members of large that are not appointed. If they go back in, if they are in a jurisdiction, meeting coverage.
Yeah, it really depends on the individual jurisdictions. Some like to do that themselves. Some like to have the recommendations. Some seek out and appointing themselves. It is something that's it's constantly in the back of Melissa's mind as she is the liaison for two of our committees here within Area Agency on Aging. We are fortunate as well. Just if you aren't aware, our board of directors chairs in the last few years have been very cognizant of the jurisdictional representation and remind the board of directors members to check the lists and take advantage of the opportunity that they have for representation back to their jurisdiction. It is a continued conversation. As for the citizen at large becoming an appointee, I think we just need to delve into the bylaws and making sure that we're following all appropriate steps. But like I said, there have been occasions where we have had applicants and we have shared that with the jurisdictional representatives or their staff to get their buy-in as well, to make sure that that's also meeting the needs and expectations and requirements of the individual jurisdiction, because across the 16 jurisdiction, it's 3 counties and 13 jurisdictions. It seems that there are 16 different ways of appointments. And so we have worked hard to try to better understand that, to make sure that we're making those recommendations to the right people and the right timing and that kind of thing. So it is a process. It's a process, but it is certainly something.
It might be helpful for everyone to see jurisdictions listed.
They're on the third. The fourth page, that's in the back. If you've got a two-sided report, you can see the roster. Oh, so it may not be in their packets, yeah, but if you go to the full packet online, there's always a roster between the current agenda and the meeting minutes of the previous meeting, and it shows all of the jurisdictions as well as the list of citizen at-large positions that are filled. So this is just a portion of the list that is pointed out at the board of directors, typically the board of directors members meetings where they are reminded to check the committee listings. But you can see we have El Paso County represented by 3 persons, Park County with 1, Teller County with 1, City of Colorado Springs, we'll fill that one soon. Town Monument and open, we have about 9 open member appointee seats plus another half a dozen citizens at large. So it does give, by having the citizens at large, it does give us the opportunity to have persons represented across the region that may not be within one of the specific jurisdictions. Because of course, if you were just by jurisdiction, you miss out on part of the region just because of how spread out we are. So it is good to have citizens at large, and they can apply as individuals and go through our process without having jurisdictional process, appointment process. So there's certainly pros and cons to all of this. We want to make sure that as much of our 3 county regions represented as possible. That's what Melissa and the membership chair really strive to achieve, is ensuring representation.
And if you see on this list, the asterisks after Paula and Dayton, they're both serving their 2nd terms. And so Paula, when it expires in 2026, that will be her 2nd term. And so she has to take time off. Dayton's 2nd term is over in 2027. Kathy, 2025, but she can re-up for her 2nd term. So we'll talk about that in January. And then everybody else is also just kind of 1st terms. So in case people wondered about the asterisks there after Paula and Dayton, your citizens at large.
Great. Is that all for under membership?
I think so.
Jurisdiction
Oh,
reports.
that was jurisdiction reports. My bad. All right, next is item C, Policy Committee. First is the Colorado Center for Aging.
And I do not have a report on that for this meeting. I don't know if anyone else listened in to their last meeting or not.
I'll provide just a little bit. So I have not sat in on their meetings as it does coincide with another one of my standing meetings, but do know that they, as Colorado Center for Aging, has over the last several years helped support and sponsor the Legislative Caucus on Aging each month in the legislative season. We are finding out currently that there may be changes to Legislative Caucus on Aging. Perhaps not doing it that way, which is a little more formal process by getting sponsorships by legislators. And so as we know more, we'll be sharing that, especially as it relates to opportunities to go to the Capitol. There are also opportunities to meet with legislators for special events around anything aging, especially related to the white paper that Steve and Phil put together related to the senior homestead tax exemption. So we got all the approvals, so if that comes up, we have a tool to use in conversation. So more to come.
Right. Next is the ACG Legislative Committee report. Knowledge.
At least a limited knowledge I have. But it has been a relatively quiet period of time. So we've not a whole lot of updates since the last time I spoke to you guys in November. Just a few things kind of keep in mind as we come to the end of the year. Joint Budget Committee is continuing to meet at the interim. The big news on that one is going to come Friday when the state releases its next quarterly budget forecast. And that'll be the one that they'll start really using as they start kind of mapping out what the budget looks like for 2026. And then things get rock and rolling. January 14th, 2026 is the first day of the next session. So by the time we meet again in January, we'll be a week into the session and we'll start to have some bills, at least on the radar for your awareness. On the federal side, I'd really say no new updates, significant updates in the aging area since the last time. I'll reiterate what I said last time. We're continuing to hear the possibility that the HHS budget is going to go through a minibus appropriations package. What that is, I've lost track now. I think they have 9 appropriations bills left to go. I think they're looking at packaging 5 of them together into a minibus, and the HHS one that we look at is part of that appropriations discussion, but nothing concrete yet. The next big deadline when it comes to budgets and appropriations will be January 31st. If they do not have any other budget bills passed, those bills or those agencies not funded with a full year budget bills will go back into a partial government shutdown. As we saw during the last one, it doesn't impact our operations significantly. We're able to make through by pulling down funds in advance. But it's just kind of something that adds another stressor to the mix. That's really all I have on the legislative side. I'm happy to answer your questions.
Any questions online? Them in the chat. Oh, thank you, Chair.
Thank you all.
Next item is Colorado Commission on Aging. That's usually Penny Whitney. Penny, are you up for giving us an update?
Transcription's funny. It said honey or
Just called her honey on the transcription. Just kidding. Looks like we're not gonna hear from Penny. All right. Then the next item is the PPAC to the Board of Directors.
Yes, thank you. So as you might imagine, there's a lot of work going on towards the end of the year just to close out the PPACG fiscal year, which is December 31st. And so at across the last couple of meetings, it's been a lot around budgets and planning. This most recent Board of Directors meeting early in December was heavy on transportation items as they come to the end of the year, planning for the next year, both from a funding and long-term. And keep in mind, this is long-range planning around transportation mobility efforts. And so this is very separate funding, very separate process from the transportation services that are funded through the Older Americans Act and through the Area Agency on Aging. I do know that that work was going on. The Board of Directors also heard the update around the Federal Transit Administration 5310 funding. That notice of funding availability went out. The Planning and Technical Review Subcommittee of that side of the House met, and during the Board of Directors meeting, that opened up for a 30-day public comment period. And so there's an opportunity to review those recommendations. Really, I'll give you the highlight. The 5310 provides support for transportation services for older adults as well as those with disabilities. And so that funding through the scoring process and review of the applicants was narrowed down to almost even recommended funding in the new allocation between Silver Key Senior Services and in VITA transportation services. And so that's currently in the public comment period right now. That will close, and we'll begin working toward the allocation and distribution process after the first of the year. On the same, kind of on that same thread, the Area Agency on Aging is also within our request for proposal or RFP process. We put that out through the RFP process. Had 17 applicants, 17 of our, which is all of our current contractors, along with 3 additional new contractors applied for funding. Last week, we held our technical review subcommittee meeting, and we'll take the recommendations to the Regional Advisory Council meeting tomorrow. Some of you may recognize that December 18th is not the usual time of the month that we meet, but as it happens, Thanksgiving and Christmas fall right on our meetings. And so we typically only have 11 meetings per year. We drop the November meeting and have one early December. And so along those lines, I just want to highlight, you've heard me share some of this recently, but so far there's still no reauthorization of the Older Americans Act, but because it's a statutory requirement within the federal government, the funding still flows. And so we really can't get into requesting changes or updates within funding or program until that reauthorization takes place. But the other concern that we're working through, especially during our funding allocation process, is that our current funding is on a downward trend, and that's unfortunate. But we from the first part of the contract period, now we're in the second half of the contract, the current 2-year contract period, we have been able to maintain our providers fairly flat from 1 year to the other. And the Area Agency on Aging programs absorbed the reduction in overall funding. And so most of that was federal funding that dropped. We had a little increase at the state level, but our overall net was a loss of funding. And so that is, part of the process of sharpening our pencils and figuring out how best to still serve as many older adults as possible within our Older Americans Act and the Coloradans Act program. So that process continues, and I expect by January, February, we'll have our preliminary allocations all through the approval process, and we'll be able to share more at future meetings. With that, the other thing I'll just remind the commission is that I have, per your all's request, for an annual presentation, we do have you tentatively slated in February Board of Directors agenda. And so in the past, that was the chair and another member of the commission providing that update. It was kind of an annual report as to the work that had been done. So your tentative for scheduled for the February board meeting, but I will give you a heads up that I've also held a spot for you in March if you need to push that off. So just know that that's coming, and that'll come fast. So that's all I have today, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jody. Next is the chair report, and in your packet and on the table is the COA annual planning calendar, which we've discussed, but I don't know that we had it in black and white like it is right now in front of us, because we have not talked jurisdiction planning detail like we have recently. So with that being said, just going over what Melissa has kindly worked out for us, picking up the months and what we will be doing as a commission throughout the year, and just giving us an idea of, again, the presentation that Jody just mentioned there in February, jurisdiction planning for March, February and March, reporting to PACG board jurisdiction. Commissioners will be in April. And they will sort of go away and thank you.
Older Americans Month.
Thank you.
And when you see the jurisdiction report to the PPACG board in April, that's most likely just going to be a written report. I don't think it needs to be, formal, just something that's updated and shared with the PPACG board, because many of the people who are on the PPACG board are the jurisdiction folks that you're going to be reporting out to. And they just would like to know kind of what's happening before the actual presentation happens to, like, the rest of the El Paso County commissioners, for example, or the rest of the Park County commissioners, as Penny Everest has done in the past. So it's just an opportunity to make sure that they kind of see that what's going to be shared and talked about, and they can be thinking through if they have questions too, and go a little deeper when the actual jurisdiction presentation happens in May.
Right. And just food for thought, because we have so many new commissioners coming from all different areas of the community, it might be helpful to have a legend with the acronyms, just so that people can understand and not have to ask, because we do talk acronyms a lot, but that is not one that I knew and I didn't. So,
We actually have in PPACG at large has a huge list of acronyms. I think we can take that and narrow it down to
That would be
those
awesome.
that would be related to the agents.
that would be great.
A good cheat sheet for all of
That
them.
would be great. I'd appreciate that, and I think others would too. So into June, review state outcomes, review new state issues, outreach to communities, which I think we did more of this year than we've ever done in the past. And part of that, I'll have Kathy speak to her social isolation group, work group. But we also did some outreach up in Teller County, Cripple Creek area, and help me. And I think we did some other things. Wanda did some ice cream socials at Mountain Valley. So we were out visible in the community more than the commission has ever been this past year. So just, just reviewing that, and then come the end of the year, bringing in new chair, vice chair, and new committee chairs have been discussed, which we have been discussing the last couple months, and note that Aaron Arizella did leave us, and we are in need of a new membership committee chairperson. So that's just for people to think about, because we need that filled sooner than later. Right. Are there any questions about that planning calendar that's ahead? Moving on to our working sessions, work groups.
And Madam Chair, can I just
Sure.
mention, as we get ready to have people talk about their groups, to just take a note to pay attention to the current flyer that hopefully people in the room have in front of them, and Jared's going to put up on the screen, but just be kind of thinking through some of the things that we've heard people say in meetings, and kind of work that folks want to be doing is somewhat reflected on here. But I am happy to make more changes, edit, do things differently. So this is an absolute draft that's in front of you, and hopefully we can add to it and be prepared for 2026.
Right, thank you. All right, our first report is the creating age-friendly housing and transportation work group. That is,
This is Phil Stafford. Last month, I reported about Amy Cox with the city presenting the city council on December 8th. I was not able to attend that, and I don't have a report on that. Our next meeting with David Lord is going to be January 15th. So I'm in hopes I've got a better report to give in January because I do not have one today.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Next is,
I'll just add one quick thing too. We do have Bob from Teller County, and he wants to be part of the housing and transportation work group. And so I know we did send some emails around to try to get folks kind of talking before this meeting, but schedules didn't come together for that. But just kind of a reminder that we do have now, that addition of Teller County to think about housing issues, transportation issues, those kinds of things across our region. Of course, Penny in Park County can often have an opinion on those things, but she's been more involved, I think, in kind of social engagement work in her region. But just kind of a reminder that we do have our Teller County Bob member to add conversation and content to the housing and transportation group.
and with that being said, Bob, do you have anything to add at this point? Because I know you sit on the Teller Senior Coalition Board also.
At this point, I'm sitting in Texas visiting my daughter, and no, I do not have any comments at this time.
Enjoy the holiday with your family. All right,
Thank you.
next, you're welcome. Next is strengthening caregiver supports and services, and that would be Karen.
I thank you.
Yes,
We are meeting tomorrow. We were not able to meet last month, so I don't have much of an update today as well. We've struggled a little bit to find a time that is really working for people to participate, but looking forward to getting some traction going in 2026. And Melissa does have some of our goals on the flyer to support the caregiver programs that are already in place, and in 2026 to increase the number of caregivers that participate in the pampering day. We talked in October a lot about sharing stories around some of our caregivers as a way of helping people understand what a caregiver is or a care partner, and encourage participation that way. So I would love, Kim, if you would consider joining our work group as well and add your expertise on storytelling. So, no pressure to put you on the spot in a public way. For now, we'll meet tomorrow, and we'll see again if we can find a better time that works for more people.
great, thank you. And then our work group number 3 is promoting social engagement and inclusion. And Kathy?
Right. Right now we haven't set our schedule for next year. We're trying to kind of find something that works for everybody, which is almost impossible. But we'll be doing that. We are planning on going to 2 more areas, but we haven't nailed anything down yet. We're still working on it. Oh, one event was pretty successful.
Very successful.
Yeah. We have feedback from people there because we went a second time to get feedback, and it was all positive.
And they have taken it upon themselves to do some
Oh, yes.
engagement of their own, correct?
Yes, they are doing some. They did form a little group that's planning their own events. And so far as I know, it's going pretty good.
That's great.
That's what we want, is to get them started and let them take it on from there.
Good. All right, well, those are our 3 working groups. Is there any questions or comments for any group? No? Okay, so we're on item number 9, discussion items.
do have a question for the last, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow in asking, but I was wondering, Kathy, for your committee, is when you say inclusion, is digital inclusion a component of it, or is it focused more on social? Yeah.
Hers has been more social. Digital might not be a bad idea for them to add. Because that was part of the problem. There's one of the ladies on the committee that never get her. She couldn't figure out how to work her phone or her tablet. Get it to work. Jay. Associate. But anyway, it might be good. And she also said that they couldn't do virtual meetings in that court. There's not enough people know how to use anything. That would be within the breach.
And digital inclusion might be good in rural areas where people aren't going to be able to come together because they're so far apart to begin with. So a virtual block party where people can get online on a Zoom block party and still have engagement and social activities, you know, go or whatever. But I remember during COVID, we actually had a virtual auction, virtual live auction for the day program, and it went off really well, actually. So that kind of engagement can happen and can be accessible. So.
So, when the meeting started, I stepped out because I needed to make photocopies. I brought with me an article that was sent to me by Penny Whitney. The author is Michelle Cottle, who writes about national politics for The Opinion. And her article is about, we had no idea what was coming, caring for my aging father. It's a wonderful article. I make copies, I'll pass them out. It's a wonderful article in terms of what she talks about and how they dealt with it as a family wasn't anything new. But what she does a wonderful job is incorporating into that article the current developments about taxation, the Affordable Care Act, immigration policy, and how all of that is making the burden of caregiving for family members more difficult, more stressful, kind of a thing. And she has some wonderful statistics incorporated into that, which is why I wanted to share that with the commission, because it puts into real time what's going on in terms of how that's having an impact from her perspective on a very stressful situation with family caregiving. And she believes it's going to get much, much worse for family caregivers because of that. Thanks.
I will add to that for a second too. Andy Gunning sent the staff an article from the Washington Post earlier today, and I forwarded that on to Carolyn and Lucy. And I think I CC'd both Kathy and Paula too, also on caregiving. And just kind of wondered where the caregiving committee might take that article at some point in time. And knowing what Kent just talked about and then kind of comparing that to what was in the Washington Post, I think could be interesting to see. Next month, there'll be more conversations about caregiving.
Well, and really all these working groups intertwine, you know, they're really all intertwined at some level. You know, of each other. Right. Any other discussion items? Group. member entity announcements. Do you have anything going on as we close out 2025?
Just real briefly, the offices will be closed December 24th and 25th, as well as January 1st. And staff will be light because of the holidays. So if you need something from one of us and we don't respond, feel free to track one of us down, or we'll get back to as quickly as we can. Those engagement.
Any other announcements? Okay.
Just a reminder that the On Aging Conference occurs in Atlanta in March 2026. And you'll feel like you're with your people and you'll learn things and great engagement and everything. So if you've never been, I have it.
Kim, I'll give an update. That's happening actually April 20th.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. You don't want them showing up in Atlanta too early. But yeah, it's April 20. She had the dates right, but not the right month. So it's April 20th through 23rd. It's in Atlanta this year, and the registrations are open. That's the American Society on Aging annual conference. It's a really great broad stroke of aging services. So to Kim's point, that and a couple other conferences we've been to, I'd refer to a few staff members here and there. It is one of those places where you can go and you feel that it's like that's a perfect example. You're with your people. You don't have to explain who you are, what you do it the way you do it. And things like that. I have the same thing with the US Aging Conference, which will be in July. And that's made up of primarily, that is a AAA annual conference, the same thing. I don't have to explain why we do the funding the way that we do, because they all have to do it the same ways. But I will share really briefly, Penny Whitney and I have applied to be presenters at the July US Aging Conference. We'll know probably February or March if our presentation is selected, and it is around the JAWS program, around workforce solutions with JAWS programs. So really exciting to be able to at least start with an application, and we'll see chosen.
Any else? Meeting schedule is listed there under item number 11. Our next meeting will be January 21st, 2026. Our executive committee meeting is virtual, and we meet the first Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. And you send out the link. Anybody is welcome at that, not just executive committee members. We're very few, so the more people that can join us, the better. The policy committee meetings are, they're there throughout the month. Working group meetings are posted. Caregiving is meeting actually tomorrow at 2, but they're going to be looking at a more workable day and time for most of the people in the group. Social engagement meets the 4th Thursday at noon, and my conflict did change, Kathy, so I think I should be able to do that meeting now, because my standing group switched to Mondays, so I should be able to do that if you're still doing that. And then the upcoming PPACG meeting schedule is right here. Jared's quick on those slides. Right.
I apologize. I didn't have my mic on. That was January 14th. Is the board of directors meeting here in this room. Thank you, Jared.
So items for next meeting. We'll have more group reports. And
We will also vote on the officers. So our chair, vice chair, and then the chair will appoint a membership chair. So just hopefully we'll have those ready to go.
I think we can adjourn to our refreshments and say happy holidays, everyone online, and we'll see you next year. Thank you.